This audio reading is taken from the book Gleanings Among the Sheaves by Charles Spurgeon. Our readings, numbers 81 through 90. Number 81, Obtaining Promises. God sometimes gives his people fresh promises by faith just before a trial is about to come upon them. It was so with Elijah. God said to him, "Get thee. By the brook Cherith I have commanded the ravens to feed thee there." This was at the beginning of the famine. There he abode, and God fulfilled the promise, for by faith Elijah had obtained it. Acting upon faith, still dependent upon God, he abode at Cherith, and as the result of this faith, God gave him a fresh promise. "Arise, get thee to Zarephath. I have commanded a widow woman there to sustain thee." The faith which received the first promise obtained the honour of a second. So with us. If we have had a little promise, and up till now have realized it, if we have lived upon it, and made it the stay and support of our souls, surely God will give us another and a greater one. And so, from promise to promise speeding our way, we shall find the promises to be rounds of the ladder which Jacob saw, the top whereof shall reach to heaven. Doubt and be distrustful about the promise which you have, and you cannot expect God to increase his revelation to your soul. Be afraid and unbelieving about that promise which was laid to your heart yesterday, and you shall not have a new one tomorrow. But act in simple faith upon what God has already given you, and you shall go from strength to strength, receiving grace upon grace, and promise upon promise. The Spirit of God shall whisper into your soul some promise which shall come home with as much power as though an angel from heaven had spoken it to you, and you shall, through faith, obtain promises which before were beyond your reach. Number 82. Sympathy. Sympathy is especially a Christian's duty. Consider what the Christian is, and you will say that if every other man were selfish, he should be disinterested. If there were nowhere else a heart which had sympathy for the needy, there should be one found in every Christian breast. The Christian is a king. It becomes not a king to be meanly caring for himself. Was Alexander ever more royal than when, while his troops were suffering from thirst, he put aside a bowl full of the precious liquid which a soldier offered him, and said it was not fitting for a king to drink while his subjects were thirsty, he had rather share their sorrow with them? O you, whom God has made kings and princes, reign royally over our own selfishness, and act with the honourable liberality which becomes the seed royal of the universe. You are sent into the world to be saviours of others, but how shall you be so if you care only for yourselves? It is yours to be lights, and does not a light consume itself while it scatters its rays into the thick darkness? Is it not your office and privilege to have it said of you, as of your Master, "He saved others, himself he cannot save"? Number 83. Endure hardness. Soldier of Christ, you will have to do hard battle. There is no bed of down for you. There is no riding to heaven in a chariot. The rough way must be trodden, mountains must be climbed, rivers must be forded, dragons must be fought, giants must be slain, difficulties must be overcome, and great trials must be borne. It is not a smooth road to heaven. Those who have gone but a very few paces therein have found it to be rough and rugged, yet it is pleasant. It is the most delightful journey in all the world, not because it is easy in itself. It is only pleasant because of the company, because of the sweet promises on which we lean, because of our beloved who walks with us through all the rough and thorny breaks of this vast wilderness. Christian soldiers expect conflict, Think it not strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened unto you. As truly as you are a child of God, your Saviour has left you for his legacy, in the world ye shall have tribulation. Yet remember that this tribulation is the way to enter the kingdom. Therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Jesus Christ. Number 84, usefulness. Christ, my Master, goes about doing good, and if you would walk with him, you must go about upon the same mission. Number 85, the church and the world. Christian men ought so to live that it were idle to speak of a comparison between them and the men of the world. It should not be a comparison, but a contrast. No scale of degrees should be possible. The believer should be a direct and manifest contradiction to the unregenerate. The life of a saint should be altogether above and out of the same list as the life of a sinner. We should compel our critics not to confess that moralists are good and Christians a little better, but while the world is darkness, we should manifestly be light, and while the world lies in the wicked one, we should most evidently be of God and overcome the temptations of that wicked one. Wide as the poles asunder are life and death, light and darkness, purity and sin. There should be as much difference between the worldly and the Christian as between hell and heaven, between destruction and eternal life. As we hope at last that there shall be a great gulf separating us from the doom of the impenitent, there should be here a deep and wide gulf between us and the ungodly. The purity of our character should be such that men must take knowledge of us that we are of another and superior race. If we were what we profess to be, there would be no difficulty in detecting the Christian from the worldly. But alas, the Church is so much adulterated that we have to abate our glorying and cannot exalt our character as we would. Oh, for the time when our conversation in heaven and the ignoble life of the worldly man shall be rebuked by our Christ-like character. God grant us more and more to be clearly a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people, that we may show forth the praises of him who has called us out of darkness into his marvellous light. Number 86, the fight of faith. Like the Spartans, every Christian is born a warrior. It is his destiny to be assaulted. It is his duty to attack. Part of his life will be occupied with defensive warfare. He will have to defend earnestly the faith once delivered to the saints. He will have to resist the devil. He will have to stand against all his wiles, and having done all, still to stand. He will, however, be but a sorry Christian if he acts only on the defensive. He must be one who goes against his foes. He must be able to say with David, I come to thee in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied. He must wrestle not with flesh and blood, but against principalities and power. He must have weapons for his warfare, not carnal, but mighty through God, to the pulling down of strongholds. He must not be content to live in the stronghold well guarded, but he must go forth to attack the castles of the enemy and to drive the Canaanite out of the land. But there are many ways in which the Christian may, to a great degree, forget his martial character. And, alas, there are not a few who, if they be Christians at all, certainly know but very little of that daily warfare to which the Captain of our salvation calls his disciples. They have a soft religion, a religion which shuns opposition, a reed-like religion which bows before every blast, unlike that cedar of godliness which stands aloft in the midst of the storm and claps its boughs in the hurricane for very joy of triumph, though the earth be all in arms abroad. Such men lack the faith which shares the glory. Though saved, yet their names shall not be found written among the mighty men who, for our great Commander's sake, are willing to suffer the loss of all things, and to go forth without the camp bearing his reproach. Oh, let us never be contented with such inglorious ease, but earnestly and manfully fight the Lord's battles. Is it a little thing for a follower of Christ to be losing the immortal honour of serving the Lord? What will men not do to win fame? And shall we, when it lies at our doors, turn idly aside and cast our glory to the ground? Let us be up and doing, for it is no light thing to be losing the honour of a faithful servant of Christ. Number 87. Life's great object. As Christians, we ought ever to be distinguished from the world in the great object of our life. As for worldly men, some of them are seeking wealth, others fame, some seek after comfort, others after pleasure. Subordinately you may seek after any of these, but your main and principal motive as a Christian should always be to live for Christ. To live for glory? Yes, but for his glory. To live for comfort? Yes, but be all your consolation in him. To live for pleasure? Yes, but when you are merry, sing psalms and make melody in your hearts to the Lord. To live for wealth? Yes, but to be rich in faith. You may lay up treasure, but lay it up in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. You can make the most common calling become really sacred by dedicating your daily life wholly to the service of Jesus, taking as your motto, "For to me to live is Christ." There is such a thing as living thus a consecrated life, and if any deny its possibility, let them stand self-convicted, because they obey not that precept, "Whether therefore ye eat, or drink, or whatsoever ye do all to the glory of God." Number 88. Love's circumference. The Christian's sympathy should ever be of the widest character, because he serves a God of infinite love. When the precious stone of love is thrown by grace into the crystal pool of a renewed heart, it stirs the transparent life floods into ever-widening circles of sympathy. The first ring has no very wide circumference. We love our household, for he who cares not for his own household is worse than a heathen man. But mark the next concentric ring. We love the household of faith. We know that we have passed from death unto life, because we love the brethren. Look once more, for the ever-widening ring has reached the very limit of the lake, and has included all in its area, for supplications, prayers, intercessions, and giving of thanks are to be made for all men. A follower of Jesus means a friend of man. A Christian is a philanthropist by profession, and generous by force of grace. Wide as the reign of sorrow is the stretch of his love, and where he cannot help he pities still. Number 89. The way to heaven. There is no way to heaven, whatever thy hopes may be, but through Christ. There is no way to the gates of pearl, but through the bleeding side of Jesus. These are the gates of paradise, these bleeding wounds. If thou wouldst find thy way to God's bright throne, find first thy way to Jesus' cross. If thou wouldst know the way to happiness, tread in that path of misery which Jesus trod. What? Attempt another way? Art thou mad enough to think that thou canst rend the posts and bars and gates of heaven from their perpetual places and force thy way by thy created strength? Or dost thou think to purchase with thy riches and thy gold a foothold in paradise? Fool! What is thy gold where streets are made of it, and where the gates are solid pearl, where the foundations are of jasper, and the walls whereof are precious gems? And dost thou think to get there by thy merits? Ah, by pride fell the angels, and by thy pride thou hast fallen. Heaven is not for such as thou art. But dost thou say, I will leave my wealth, after I have gone to charities I will build a hospital or feed the poor? Then let men pay thee, thou hast wrought for them. Let them pay the debt. Let them rear the stony pillar, and set thine effigy upon the top thereof. If thou hast wrought for thy country, let thy country pay thee what it owes thee. But God, what does he owe thee? Thou hast forgotten him, thou hast despised his Son, thou hast rejected his gospel. Be thou warrior, statesman, patriot. Let men pay thee. God owes thee nothing, and all thou canst do, if thou comest not in the right way through Jesus Christ, who lived and died, and is alive for evermore, and hath the keys of heaven at his girdle, will not bribe him to admit thee to his palace. Number 90. Religion exemplified. I would not give much for your religion unless it can be seen. Lamps do not talk, but they do shine. A lighthouse sounds no drum, it beats no gong, and yet, far over the waters, its friendly spark is visible to the mariner. So let your actions shine out your religion. Let the main sermon of your life be illustrated by all your conduct, and it shall not fail to be illustrious. This concludes our reading. Thank you for listening.